All right, welcome back to episode 37 of the Slide In podcast. I'm Braden Anderson. This is Kelly Gallup.
Welcome back.
We've got quite a special episode for you today. We do have some housekeeping to take care of. Let's do that first. We're going to get hot. The Wretched Mess Festival is
quickly approaching.
West Yellowstone, September 5th and 6th. Kelly and I are going to be doing a live podcast there, which I think is going to be a Q&A for Kelly that I will loosely organize. So that'll be 12 to 1 on Saturday.
Excessive beer drinking.
I really thought that the 5th and 6th was not a Friday, Saturday.
What?
September. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Yeah, it is. 5th and 6th.
I'm sure they would check that.
Yeah, 5th and 6th. So
Joe's kind of a detail guy.
Yeah, so Joe Moore.
Kind of a detail guy.
Yeah. The great folks, Joe Moore and all the guys at Big Sky Anglers are putting it on. So it's in West Yellowstone. 12 to 1 is when we're doing our live podcast. And I think there's going to be 25 seats in the room. So I don't know. Show up early, get there, whatever.
So we have a format now.
Apparently.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was still trying to figure out how this thing was going to roll.
Yeah. Joe sent us an email that I told him I would.
Maybe Steelhead will show up.
There's a guy named Steelhead who's going to take some heat today. So I think Kelly's going to tie flies Friday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. At least this is what the email says. I might be breaking this news to Kelly.
You are.
So Friday, Saturday, I think there's casting competition. There's all sorts of cool stuff there. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of booths.
There was a ton last year, a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun stuff. And they're going to do the music again, you said?
I think so.
That was pretty good.
But yeah, we'll film a short video of Kelly. I'm reading this email out loud now. I'll film a short video and release that on our Instagram. So that was our housekeeping. It's time to jump into the meat of our podcast for today, which is the What is Kelly Pissed Off About? And this comes in reference to, it goes back to the bathroom, the hover shitters in the pit toilets, which I think I've gotten a lot of people have come in the shop and said, yeah, the fishing stuff's interesting, but I love when you guys talk about
the hover thing. People walk in and say, can I go hover in the bathroom?
Can you fuck off? Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'll bleep that out. So we talked about that. Then, Kelly made a comment about you're one of those guys that doesn't return your shopping cart. And then I brought up the shopping cart theory, which I will just read this off real quick. So the shopping cart theory states that returning a shopping cart to its designated area after use reflects a person's sense of responsibility and moral character, while leaving it abandoned indicates a lack of it. It's kind of an internet meme for a while, but I do think there's really something to that. If you can't do something as little as return your shopping cart, and we're not saying walk it all the way back to the front.
Put the damn thing, and when you get there, organize some bitches so you can put more in, you piece of shit.
No,
don't lay it sideways.
They have the corrals out in the...
Put it in the corral.
Put it in the corral, and don't just launch it in there.
Launch it in there, have been there, and there's like 3 of them, and you're in the Costco thing. Mm-hmm. You got 3 carts, and you can't get another one in because you're too fucking lazy to walk over and align them. It was like, give me a break, you piece of shit. How important are you that you can't do a damn thing for anybody else?
For someone else, yeah.
So, what a piece of shit. Wait till we hear
Yeah, wait. If you think Kelly's hot now, just wait. So, someone by the name of Steelhead, which, by the way, really puts a sour taste in my mouth about the fish itself.
Steelhead, probably a steelhead bobber.
Yeah.
He's probably running bobbers under something. But
feel free to send him an email if you want, steelhead@gmail.com, if you think he's an asshole like we do. Says, I would like to comment on the rant of the faux alpha male for his comments a couple shows back.
Yeah. Come see me.
By the way, this is going to be a test of whether or not I can read for 2 minutes straight. He thought it was appropriate to reprimand me for my terrible behavior in the grocery store parking lot. Before I address his specific comments, I would like to ask him a couple questions. 1, how many times have you cleaned the bathrooms at your favorite restaurant after eating and paying for a dinner? At the doctor's office, do you take out the trash after the doctor leaves the exam room? Do you expect your customer to sweep the floor after making a purchase at your store? When you stop to get gas, do you wash the gas station windows after paying? I'm guessing you do none of these and would think it odd if these establishments expected you to do so, yet you somehow think it is appropriate for the grocery store to expect me to do their menial tasks. If that is the case, why would you reprimand me for not taking my cart back to the cart corral after buying groceries? Aren't I a customer there to be served in exchange for my patronage? If you could demonstrate that doing cart duty makes a material impact on grocery costs, I might consider it, but you can't. It goes much deeper. There's a meaningful reason that is not appropriate to return a cart to the corral. By the way, this is in bold and it's italicized. It has to do with mentoring the young and less capable among us. The people hired to tend carts typically are kids doing their first job or possibly someone with mental challenges who find higher level tasks more difficult, if not impossible. It is these people who are the real beneficiaries of my kindness to avoid corralling my cart, thereby giving them opportunity to hold gainful employment. It is these folks that reap the benefits of my kind thoughts towards them, and they also suffer from the bad advice given by the faux alpha male. I will listen intently, hoping to see the faux alpha male wisdom of why I am wrong. I would hope that instead of digging your heels in, insisting that you were right, you would use this format to encourage all grocery store customers, as well as customer table bussers at restaurants, to stop taking work from these capable of holding jobs. It would serve mankind better than reprimanding me about my behavior you don't understand. Signed, Dickhead.
God,
Steelhead.
I don't understand that. First of all, I did not dig my heels in because we waited 2 weeks.
We waited 2 weeks.
Yes.
I've been hot.
You read it this afternoon.
I want to kill this guy. I don't know if I've ever killed a fly.
I have to go that crazy, but yeah. So I went psycho when I read it.
Such a dickhead.
First of all, having a mentally challenged adult child, your moral compass is probably the fucking view, if I had to ask. But everything you said, I listed off your things. In the thing, what was the first one? Do I ever clean up the bathroom?
How many times have you cleaned bathrooms at your favorite restaurant?
Okay, I didn't think about the restaurant so much, but in bathroom. Not often, but frequently, if it's a mess and it's like, somebody's throwing their paper towels and shit on, I'll pick them up. I have no problem doing that. Got no problem. I mean, because my moral compass isn't all monetary like yours, you piece of shit.
This guy works for an investment bank or something.
I mean,
he's a private equity guy.
The guy's moral compass is obviously if it can monetarily help him. So the only thing on earth that makes you worthwhile, and by the way, everything I ever taught my children and all the people I hang around with and ever looked up to in my life are the polar opposite of your dumbass. I taught my kids to do everything like that. And the last thing, and I don't know, I'd like to have anybody listen to this that's CEO of something, just run a big business. And I'd like to know, because I know I didn't personally ever work in the supermarkets, but a lot of my friends did. It was cool. I mean, they made, they were price taggers. They chased the carts. They broke boxes. They did. I'd like to know how many people out there had a job doing exactly like this dumbass is saying, that he is improving a mentally challenged kid's life by leaving your lazy ass shit out there because you're too goddamn self-absorbed. I'd like to see how many people write in and say, yeah, my first job was there. I went and got those carts. I broke boxes down in the back. They had bag carriers in the old days, well above your pay class. Oh my God, you'd never stoop to that. Oh, you're just above everything because you're so morally deprived. But I would bet you that we'll get 100 people right in that say, yeah, I did all that stuff. Yeah, I had to deal with those assholes too. Yep. And you're probably the guy who sits there and looks at the tab and goes, shit, 20%, I don't know, 16.3. There's some guy or gal busting their hump for you and you didn't get your butter quite warm enough. It's like this, I know I got thinking about this. I've spoken all over the world and I have to always have, there's a group up front. God, I hope you're not the VIB table that I have to go down and shake hands with and look you in the eye and say, oh, good job, Steelhead. It's like everything you wrote is so morally deprived. It is just almost beyond. It's almost impossible to answer it without absolute rage, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
I'm sweating out of my forehead. I'm so pissed off.
I did
right
your
now.
first one. I said sometimes, yes, I do. I do clean up bathrooms. I have no problem. I own this. I clean all my bathrooms. And if I walk into one and it looks like, I mean, it's just one moment where it's not just your selfish ass. What if your mother walked in right behind it and there's all this shit and you just happen to pick it up, wash your hands clean, and put it in and walk out? Oh my God, that would just kill you. But remember, it's not financially helping you. That's the problem. It's not financially helping you to go in and put your cart away. Can't save you a nickel, so all you give a shit about is your money. You don't give a shit about being a human being. You just care about, and what was it? If you could show me that it would monetarily help in the cost of something inside. So that means if there's no money involved with it, that your moral compass is pointing south. If you're not going to get something, they said, I really think you watched The View, if I had to wonder. The second one, he said, do you go to the doctors? No, I've never done that. You're right, I've never done that.
Okay,
the third one.
I got to go back to the first one real quick. How many times have you cleaned the bathroom at your favorite restaurant after eating and paying for dinner? I was raised where if you spill on the table, if you put crumbs on the table, you wipe it up and you put it on your plate. You fold your napkin, you put your silverware on.
He puts them out on the table so that he can teach the underprivileged and those poor kids, because I'm sure your kids would never do something so menial as waiting tables. Oh, hell no, you couldn't have that. The second one was doctor's office.
Yeah.
That one I got to tell you, never been in a dirty doctor's office.
Do you take out the trash after the doctor leaves the exam room?
So was that a stretch for you to make that one up, dipshit? This third one, it was a mess, if you made a mess. You know, this is a perfect example. This fly shop has 80% of it is carpeted, right? There's two types of people in this world. There's the person, if you go down a $3 bridge and you walk into the water and there's this black muck, right? And there's the people come in and they don't notice it a lot of times because they just don't. You walk to your truck, it's dry, you don't think there's anything on your boots or anything like that. And then you get here and they'll walk in and they'll leave this freaking mud trail, right? There's two types of people. There's the person that walks in and first they look down and they're like, oh shit. And they go out and they take their boots off, which they don't have to, and I don't ask them to, and I actually say, don't do it. I'll clean it up. That's my job. It's my store. I'll clean it up. But there's the other person that walks all over hell and looks down and then just doesn't think anything of it. Just keeps walking, and it's usually somebody with them. It would be me if you and I were out. It would be me to go, hey, dipshit, look, you just did. And then I would encourage you to clean it up because I'd clean up after myself. Every one of my friends would do it. Hell, Jerry's here with me. If he saw me do it, he'd probably clean it up with me. He'd be like, you little piece of shit who happens to have worked in the food service business whole life and everything you're talking about. And it would be like, yes, I would clean that up. I would. And I would walk in and I would ask for anything and done it. By the way, I did it the day before we went to Chile. I was getting fuel. I put my fuel, I was topping my gas, not that you would ever do anything like this. I'm topping my gas tank off, my fuel tank and my diesel. It probably needed 2 gallons. But I'm giving my truck to my girlfriend to run all while I'm gone for 2 weeks. So I top it off, right? That's something you don't understand either. Tip your hat to a lady, pull her chair out for her, open the door. None of the shit that you'd understand. But I'm in there. And I put the fuel tank in, or the fuel in, and I walk away. And I walk to the gas station, and I'm flirting with all the girls like always, and we're sitting there sipping coffee, and what are you doing, blah, blah, blah.
Sorry, Mel.
And I walk out, she knows all the girls. And so we walk out, and I hear, and we're making fun of this girl, Chris is walking, because she forgot to throw her gas tank lid shut. That's how I get it when I walk out. And I walk out, and I flip the thing shut, and I say, hey, and I hear water running. I'm like, what the hell's that? I look at it, I'm like, shit. And I see it. It's coming out of my truck. I put it in. I went out. There it goes. And I'm like, I have $89 worth of fuel on the ground. We're going to Chile. I'm in a hurry.
By the way, in Montana, diesel runs about what, 340?
No, it's 429 then.
Oh,
429.
yeah, okay.
And so I take off running. First thing that happens, I tear a calf muscle. So I hobble to the damn thing and I shut it off. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm that guy. I'm that person, right? Now I have a Exxon Valdez oil spill. I have it everywhere. And Barbie comes out and she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up. I said, oh no. Oh, no. And she goes, no, it should have shut off. The handle should have shut off. I says, yeah, Barbie, but there's a sticker right here that says, never leave pump unattended. So, yeah, you could say, hey, and I paid for the fuel, by the way, on the ground. They said, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. They're just helping in any way to help my stupidity, and it's completely me. I mean, you don't leave them unattended. They don't always shut off. The world's not perfect, right? And she goes, I'll go get it. I said, no, I'll go get it. It took 16 40-pound bags, I think. And so we're out there, and she goes, I'll help. I said, no, I don't. I'll do it. And she said, no, Danny would want me to. He's the manager, great guy. He says, no, Danny'd probably like to see me clean up after myself because I'm a dumbass. And so I sat out there with this, couldn't stand on my right leg, and I throw all these things out there, and then they got to soak. So then we sweep it up, and then we do it again. Now I'm 40 minutes into this world, when I'm late already. But you know what? It was my mistake. Had no problem cleaning it up. Sure as shit didn't want those poor underprivileged girls to come out here and help them learn how to be a better person like your dumbass. I cleaned up as much as I could until finally Danny came out and says, you have to go. I need to finish this, right? And he says, it's pretty much clean, but it's got to soak up. You just can't watch it, right? So yes, I would. And if I walked in here and I made mud, I'd find a way to say it, I would help. But you wouldn't. You wouldn't help. You'd just walk away and think, oh, look at what a great person I am for helping that guy, ruin his carpet and then not help to clean it up.
That's why Will and Kyler have jobs.
Yeah.
No, their job isn't to help people pick out flies and teach them how to fish.
And teach them how to cast.
Their job is to clean mud off the carpet.
Yeah, that's what they do for a living. So they can be better people, But, Johnny's a little mentally challenged. Maybe he would have that. But what was the next one?
You know what's funny is when I read this to Will goes, you know what? I used to work at a grocery store. I did carts for 6 months. Do you think I'm mentally challenged? And then he goes, wait, don't answer that. Love you, Will. Love you, Will. That was funny.
What was the one after that?
When you stop to get gas, do you wash the gas station windows after paying?
No, that's just flat stupid. Now I know which side of the tracks you're on. Now
that question made me think that this might be one of your friends trying to piss you off, because otherwise it is so blatantly stupid.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's really fun. But it does let you. Was there another one?
No, that was pretty much
I wrote
it.
cart duty costs. That the fact that would make it would somehow benefit you, so therefore you would do something. But you still wouldn't take it all the way to the cart. You're the guy that would get you'd take 2 steps and go, oh, there's a curb, and you'd shove it up against it. That's you. But the most important thing I need you to understand is you're everything I taught my kids not. I have a very small window of friends. I mean, very small. And every one of them would do absolutely everything I just said.
Yeah, I just hung out with you guys for a weekend.
Yeah. We clean up our hotel rooms.
It's Jerry over here going, hey, can I make a sandwich for you?
Yeah. It's like, they're not. Then there's no one I can think of in any of my inner circle that wouldn't call you out. Mm-hmm. If they saw you huck that cart over there, they'd be like, hey, Junior, what the hell's with that? Don't know one person. And like I said, I sure as hell hope I never. You remind me of the guy on The Beekeeper that was the money guy who couldn't wait to just screw that old lady out of her life savings, and then she commits suicide. You remind me of that piece of shit. It's just like your compass is just absolutely pointing in the wrong direction. You have no true moral compass. It's just, and then you take the time to try to legitimatize yourself. And by the way, anytime you want to try my faux manhood, just stop by, piece of shit. It's always the same. It's like everybody says, you're a badass until you get your mouth punched. It's like all these warriors on their little keyboards, but a bunch of pussies. You know, it's
But
just,
at the
but it's
same-
so ridiculous. I mean, I don't think there's a person I've ever met in my life that I would spend lunch with that would tolerate any of that behavior.
No.
None. Nothing.
Nope. Bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. Steelhead.com if you want to let him know what you
Morally
think of his
and
email.
mentally depraved. Thank you.
I think that's, yeah, piece of shit.
And I'm
All right,
sure
let's
you
take a
don't.
quick
And I'm
break and-
sure you don't truly steelhead. I'm sure you're full on bobber boy.
Yeah.
But nice name though. Oh, by the way, here's Bradens First Steelhead Fly. Everybody take a breath. Jerry's pissed off over there. He wants to scream at people.
That was fun. As Kelly mentioned,
I wore a black T-shirt because I knew I was going to sweat.
Yeah, no,
would be like-
I'm all. I mean, some guy in the shop too made a comment. He said, "You guys could use some AC in here."
Yeah.
Now I feel that.
You should have seen it in the old days.
I bet.
When we first had this, when it was just that little shop, when it was the 4 and feet,
Yeah.
routinely 107.
Was it hotter than that fly shop in Chile?
Oh yeah, it woke up. There was
God.
all the
That was a
coolers.
solarium.
All the coolers were inside. That little tiny. It was only 400 square foot,
Oh yeah, and those things pump off.
and no air, no windows. The windows didn't open very, like 2 inches, right? Yeah.
That's no good. All right, well that was fun. As Kelly referenced, I tied my first fly, I think in 2 years today, with the help of Kyler.
Right here, looking good.
It's kind of a piece
I
of
like
shit.
this. Not really. Headset's really nice. Your bodies are perfectly proportioned. Don't dig that. You got all this beautiful hair and and hackle, and then you put this stupid tail in it.
Yeah, well, Kyler picked that. I would have rather done.
I'm surprised. He's really good.
He is really,
looks-
well. He just looked up a picture of a steelhead fly.
I
and
like
then
the
just freestyled
sparsity
it.
of the wing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't maybe do it quite that, but
I would have
like it.
preferred to do crystal flash for that tail instead of flashaboo.
I do like the micro crystal flash under it too.
Yeah.
I think it's very well done.
It might fish. We'll see.
I hate that.
Why do you hate that?
Probably the same reason you say you don't like tight lines, but it's like, it might fish. What the fuck? I mean, it's very well proportioned. It's going to fish. And it's like, it might fish.
Well, I'm gonna.
Sometimes I think that's an excuse for it tied like shit, but it's not tied like shit. It's tied, I haven't tied one in 2 years. I think it's pretty, it's some sort of a green butt skunk, but I don't know why it's got a purple tail.
Yeah, it was a green. Well, and we were laughing because I bought a couple.
Why'd you put the purple in the tail?
I don't know. We were screwing around with different colors, and when
On my time?
no,
Good
I was
job.
clocked out.
What about Kyler?
Kyler was also clocked out. Yeah, he clocked out.
Dang
with
it.
Yeah.
By the way, Steelhead, you would have been the fireable offense.
Oh yeah, fucking gone.
I can't wait to see how many people write in and just want to. I know there's going to be a CEO. I remember watching a thing on the CEO of McDonald's, I think it was, and he's from Chicago. He's total ghetto kid, worked at McDonald's, and is now all the way up. So he started menial. When I got hired at Shell, I think I told this story once upon there. My boss was Charlie Halbert, and the guy's hiring me. And the first thing he said to me, well, first he said, I was all pumped up bodybuilding. Well, you're kind of a big boy. And then he said, Charlie,
Wait till you meet my friend Jerry.
and he says, what'd you do when you were in college? I said, well, I didn't go to college very long. I went to welding school. What'd you do when you were in school? Like, just leans in on me. He says, I worked the graveyard shift at the Clark gas station. Thinks for a second, and he goes, it's pretty good. It's not as good as McDonald's, though. And he's just like, he hated people that never had a task job that they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you have character, that you'll work through it. And this guy is in the ghetto, works his way out, and is the head of McDonald's. I mean, that's pretty staggering deal.
Pretty impressive.
Right? I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know. Steelhead's a piece of shit. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
no, I'm not. We're done with him.
All right, let's move on to another question. Also, this is stupid and random, but when we were talking about the green butt skunk, I discovered that fly last fall at the Red Shed. They had a purple green butt skunk.
Hey, Poppy. Poppy said hi last week. Somebody told me to say hi to Poppy because he said hi to us.
Legend.
Everybody loves Poppy.
Legend.
You don't know Poppy? You don't know Steelhead.
Learn.
Come on. Find out who Poppy is. Red Shed.
But whenever I read the tag, and me being an idiot, read purple green butt skunk. So I got a fish on it, and Chris asked me what fly I got the fish on. I was like, oh, it's the purple green, what do they call it? The butt skunk. He goes, what is that? No, it's a green butt skunk.
Yes.
Yes.
And that makes sense that this is the purple green butt skunk.
Purple green butt skunk. All about the enunciation. All right, next question. This one I think is directed at me, but it might be interesting to some of you. So Alexander Sagersall emailed this into us. He said, hey guys, really enjoyed the episode on spay casting, helpful stuff. I do a lot of wade fishing, and in many places I fish, spay casting is the only real option due to steep banks and limited back cast room. Curious what line and grain weight Braden typically uses throwing big articulated streamers like Slick Willy, Mini Dungeon, or Sex Dungeon on a two-handed rod. Trying to fine-tune my setup for similar conditions. Thanks, done, Alex. Next question, Alex. I want to address a couple things here.
What makes you think it was addressed to you when it says, I'm curious what Braden says?
Oh, that's actually fair. That's a great point.
Just curious.
Well, I think he wanted me to answer. It's addressed to you or the slide-in general. Would you like to answer this question?
No.
Okay. So,
but by the way, that's why spay does exist, because of high banks and no back.
Yeah. So high banks, I think there's a lot of places where people go to spay casting where they go to two-handed rods where they don't necessarily need to. Either learning a roll cast with a single hand rod or a steeple cast where you throw your line very high behind you instead of kind of low behind you. That stuff can help if you don't want to invest in, the spay kit. I like spay casting a lot. I think it's really fun. So to answer his question, he mentioned 3 different flies: the Slick Willy, Mini Dungeon, and a Sex Dungeon. And I think you can throw those flies on different rods. So I've got a whole bunch of spay rods now. I'm collecting them like I've got a habit. And Slick Willy I can throw on my 11-foot 3-inch Echo TR, which if you want an inexpensive spay rod, that is the one to get.
I thought he was asking about lines.
Yes, but I just want to clarify this real quick.
Okay.
Same thing with single hand rods, different size, different weight flies. You need different tools to throw them. I can still throw a Slick Willy on an 8-weight, a Steelhead
A Dungeon
rod
and a Slick Willy
are vastly different.
Polar opposites.
Yeah.
I mean, on a single hand or on a spay.
On anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could throw the big Slick Willy on a 4-weight single hand rod, and that Dungeon, it would be an absolute chore.
Bend it in half.
Yep. Yeah. So, I can throw that Slick Willy on a smaller rod. You get into your 5 weights when you start talking Mini Dungeons. That was just barely too much for my 4-weight. And then the Sex Dungeon itself, I think you're stepping up to a 7 or an 8-weight. I don't think I can get that done on a 6, and it's still kind of a chore on a 7 or an 8. In terms of
single hand, you mean?
What's that?
On a single hand?
Spay rod.
Okay.
So in terms of lines, I throw a lot of the SA lines. I've thrown some Rio lines. I've thrown some Airflow lines. If you want to throw big streamers, you have to be in the Skagit world. I find heavier tips, it's easier to turn over those bigger bugs. But everything's got to be really crisp, and you can't have a lot of line on the water. The biggest mistake people make, it's essentially like a creep in single hand casting, right? You throw your back cast, and if you leave your rod back there, the weight of that line going back loads your rod, and then you can drive forwards, and you're not wasting energy. Whereas if you creep, you come forward, you lose forward cast distance, and then a lot of time you just end up piling.
Plop.
So with a two-hander, it's really similar. Your rod needs to be elevating throughout your forward cast, or your kind of wrap around is what I call it, right? It's kind of the middle section. You got your set, your wrap, and your forward in the Skagit world. And if that rod tip drops, you end up with more line on the water. More line on the water requires more energy to free it. So you're just wasting energy. Ideally, you want your fly, your leader, and maybe a foot or two of your sink tip as your anchor point. And that's the only thing on the water as you're kind of pushing forward, so you're not losing energy. So with those bigger rods, I really like Scientific Angler heads because they have grain charts for every rod that's ever been invented. And if your rod doesn't come with a grain window on it, that's really why I go with SA. There's a lot of good heads out there, but their grain windows are great. Echo gives you grain windows for their stuff. A lot of the rods have it on their blank, but it won't specify whether or not it's Scandi or Skagit, which are very different. You know, a rod that wants a 380 Scandi wants a 440 Skagit, something like that, and just will not work. It's just like the single hand world, right? Yeah. If a 6-weight is at a 185 floating line
what?
on a 6-weight?
165.
165.
65.
But yeah, if you massively over
Well,
under.
it depends on which one you want to put on it.
Yeah, true.
3 over or 2 under,
yeah, exactly.
whatever our world's gone to.
So it all depends. I mean, trust that grain window. But specifically with the setup he's talking about here, where he's got, you know, high banks behind him, no back casts, that's where you want to move into that really short Skagit head world. And OPST makes a bunch of those too. They're really good at that. They make, I think they go down to like a 13-footer for smaller rods, but anything in that 17 to 23 foot world for a Skagit head, and then, you know, run between a 7.5 to a 10-foot tip. Call a shop, call a local shop, call a spay shop.
Yeah.
It's really confusing
We've got
stuff.
5 guys here that could answer those questions pretty well, but I don't think all those West Coast shops are great.
Yeah, I mean
Poppy's, you know.
Yeah, Red Shed's awesome.
Red Shed's
the guys I used to go to at Avid Angler in North Seattle.
All those guys on the island, all those guys are just, that's what they do.
Yep.
Don't call somebody that's.
That might be a time to not call your local fly shop.
Well, unless they're into it. I mean, you know, it's become. I think it was Mike when we were filming with Mike and Doc and Jerry. It was amazing because Doc, being who Doc has been, he said, "Is that what you?" When he saw you spay casting, he goes, "No, is that what you guys do, Steelhead?" He'd never seen it.
No way.
He's a one-hander all his life, and he's saltwater, and he's that, and he just, and you know, if you didn't grow up with it, like the Great Lakes people all do it. There's a lot of people in the West. The guys at BSA do it. You know, all of our guys do, but I think you get anything, a lot of Idaho, all those guys. I mean, you get any shop, just see if they're really into it, and, you know, maybe call to. Sometimes people get too locked on, like, oh, you got to have a Skagit. So you just gave them multiple opinions because you do it.
Yeah.
But if somebody doesn't do it, just don't. Maybe call 2. Make sure you get the right answer twice. I think because especially Skagit and Scandi, that those
they're wildly different. They require different casts.
And yet they'll say they're good for the rods. They'll say either, you know, the OS is great for that, but they don't. And if you're not, just like a streamer rod or a Dryfly rod, you know, it's no different. You know, one person says this, well, all they throw are this fly. I mean, ask more questions. If you're selling, like he asked, the sex dungeon to a slick willy. You can take a slick willy that long. You can take a medium dungeon, and that dungeon weighs more.
Oh yeah.
And that's what you're throwing. So
that
make sure
2.5-inch bite snack is 10 times harder to turn over than a slick willy. That's 6
which
inches
is
long.
that long.
Yeah.
So just make sure you ask. You know, if you're going to call somebody, ask the pertinent. You know, not the cast isn't the, you know, your obstacles and shit like that's somewhat important, but make sure you tell them what you're hooking. Yeah. Because this thing, you just, you know, but if you're throwing an intruder.
That's a 1-weight bug.
Yeah, if you're throwing it, but that's what I threw at. We threw our whole life when we're running single hands, 9.5, 8 weights, and we're throwing this size fly. And, you know, so what if you go to an intruder that big and it's like carrying a gob of fur or a bunny leech or something, all that shit goes down. It's the whole theory of all casting is that the line's heavier than the fly. Mm-hmm. And so ask the pertinent questions if you call somebody and go. And then I think on that note, today's episode of the Slide In podcast is brought to you by the Mini Dalai Lama, which I never thought I'd say. Yeah, you caught a fish on the bighorn, and now you're going to give it all its... Oh, I've been fishing it? I caught that Mondo cutthroat on it, and then I fished it on the bighorn, and it was by far my best bug out there. I like it. I talked to a lot of our guides who've been fishing it out here. It's,
you know, the Dalai Lama gets a lot of shit as
Well, it was a Alaska fly.
Dalai Lama's. I'm gonna offend a bunch of people again. If the Dalai Lama is your favorite streamer, you don't know streamer fishing.
Yeah, it's not really a streamer. It's a jig.
Yeah.
It's just a really heavy head.
Yep.
You know?
And bunny. So it works.
But
It works great.
But nothing on earth, in my humble opinion, moves better than bunny in the water.
It's unbelievable.
It's not. There's no matter what we do synthetic, no matter. I'd argue that as a lifelike substance, it's better than marabou. I mean, it's pushing a wavelength that nothing else can. It's heavy. I mean, it does,
undulates.
It does
moves,
some shit that
swims.
looks like it's alive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much. It just. It is.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I remember before I really knew much about fly fishing, I hooked a huge bass. I broke it off because I tied a shitty knot. But I hooked a big bass in Lake Washington on it.
On the dolly?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great on a spinning rod too.
I'm sure. We'll be back now. So the last thing I wanted to add was I've been throwing a lot more Scandi lines recently just because I think it's fun. It's really cool throwing a lighter fly, fishing it high in the column. And like when you feel that eat, you also see a blow up because you're in the top, 6, 8 inches of the water. So super fun. If you've only ever done the Skagit thing, grab a Scandi head. They're like $60 at SA, Rio, everybody that does them. And try it. You got to fish a longer leader, smaller bugs, but be really effective. I'm going to be fishing this fall a lot more of these kind of steelhead style flies. I'm going to fish them for trout too and see how it goes. So we'll report back on that. But it's definitely fun stuff. And if you're kind of getting bored of different types of fishing, jump in the Spay game. It's just another way to learn new skill and keep something fresh.
And by the way, not that I want to go on with this Spay stuff forever, but the boys at BSA have a spectacular trout Spay clave.
Blue, oh yeah.
Isn't it BSA?
I don't know if it's them or Blue Ribbon, but both of them are great.
They're all
there.
they're all in it.
Yellowstone. Yeah,
you know, because I always see Joe posting up on it.
Yeah.
I think that one year there were 60 or more people in that thing. Look this up. Just go to Blue Ribbon Flies or Big Sky Outfitters, BSA, and he'll look it up right now. But they have, if you're just getting into this trout Spay thing, man, they just put a lot of effort into those schools. So it's not a school. I think it's it's a Spay
Spay
clave.
Days.
Spay Days?
Spay Days. It's a BSA thing, I think.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I know a lot of people have gone to it and never heard anything negative. It's always been just pro how good it was and how good the guys were there.
It looks
and
like
gals.
It might be incorporated into Wretched Mess now.
Really?
They changed that last
Cooler.
year. They made it part
Better
of it.
yet. So another reason to go to Wretched Mess. It's like I said, I've talked to 30, 40 people who've been to it, and they've all said it was spectacular.
Yeah. I've always been working.
And there's usually, Simon used to come up to, there's some pretty hot shoot casters in it. And
I think
everybody in it's good.
A lot of the best are there teaching.
So look it up. It's the same weekend in September as the Wretched Mess.
All right. Let's jump into another question. This one comes from Liam C2468. It says, "Hey Kelly and Braden, absolutely love the content you guys have been putting out. Would love to hear your guys' philosophy on mending and line leader control. Since I've started fly fishing a few years ago, I think that's been one of the most difficult things for me to understand. I thought this was incredibly topical, given the master class put on by one Howard Croston fishing dry flies in your boat the other day. We filmed, and then I rowed you guys with the Hardy Dudes, but when I was filming and you were rowing, it was windy. Howard's fishing ants and traditionals. I mean, like small dry flies on the Madison, which is a very fast river with tons of different currents. I want to talk a little bit, and I want to hear your piece on this first, but...
Really? That's cool.
I assume we're going to get it whether or not I wanted that. But he says mending, line leader control. So I want to, talk about mending, talk about line leader control, and then kind of what we saw from Howard that day.
I don't remember watching Howard do the ant thing.
Okay, I'll bring that up after. So let's talk. You had him fishing.
We did that little. Yeah. Oh, and I remember now. That was a different day.
Even the world champ pulls flies out of fish's mouths.
Everybody does.
Happens.
I don't think he pulled it out of the fish's mouth, especially that one I'm thinking of. I don't think it.
One, I think he yanked out. Then one he broke off.
Why you want to pick on Howard?
I think Howard can take it.
He's going to not teach you what you want to know. Maybe you're in there sucking up for him little tidbits of how to cast, and he's going to be like,
I think Howard can
see
take
you, little
it.
man.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he's got one of them world champ trophies.
Yeah.
Although
2. But I get one of them. I don't think he's going to renege on it, though. He's supposed to give me he said, if you get that fish on the first cast, I'm giving you my world champion, and I got the fish on the first cast, and he's like, shit, I really am going to miss that.
Yeah, I saw him later that night. He walks up and he goes, oh. I can't even do the accent.
I'm going to miss that.
Okay, so mending line leader control. Let's talk about it. Why don't we approach it from a dry fly and a nymph standpoint, because I think with streamers, at least the mending is not as relevant, but the line and leader control are very much.
First of all, there's a reason you mend, and it doesn't have to be for a dead drift, right? It's just like, if you watch anybody that fishes a lot, you mend downstream a lot of times too. Like I like to have, for example, in particular on a Euro system under a bobber, if like 99% of people do, or however you're working them, I think the biggest detriment I see guides doing or people teaching, and they say mend, and they want them to mend it upstream. And I think that's so counterintuitive to a good drift. If you mend it downstream, given that you aren't ripping the direction, changing the direction, if you would think about when people say to mend, mending is if you don't know what a mend is, it's just you're trying to take the current tension off the line down to the leader, so you mend it above the fly on a dry fly generally. But if you noticed, Howard did a lot of downstream mends to get a longer drift on those dry flies included. But you're not talking about a beginner.
Let's set it up for someone, let's say because most of our people are weight anglers, right?
Right. Okay, that's what I'm sticking with, right there. But what I was saying is that if you're a nymph fisherman and you're fishing out here, I'm going to start with that because that's the basic. You start here and the river's going whatever from right to left, and most people will go. First of all, your line lay where you set your line is so critical, and most people go, and that's what they've got. If you can't stop and drop and do a reach cast, which would take all of your mending away on an 8-foot drift on a foot, you'd be done. You would never have to do it if you just do that and put your mend and put your reach above it, and then your fly is going to go through. I particularly like to have my indicator below my flies because I either drop shop or I've got 2 perdigons on, and the last thing I want to do is be set up to a fish, because I like to set directly across or slightly down from my fish, and I don't cast to make that happen. I move me, right? And so I'm going to either do a reach or I go like this and go down and kind of lead it so that I'm not completely dependent on the bobber going, So it's about controlling the fly. Your mend is about controlling the fly. And if you watch most people, they'll get right here, they'll have somebody throw up, they'll get right down right where their fish is, and they go, mend, huh! And they huck it. Flies jump up in the air.
They mend it right when the flies are in the strike zone.
Right, always the strike. And
Always.
I've heard thousands of guides. I watch them, they're like, mend it, mend it. Well, first of all, most of them are in boats, but no, don't mend it. But if you're on foot, you want to have control of it. You want to fish a small section. And if you're dry fly fishing, it's even more critical. Understanding that you're just trying to take the pressure off your leader, right? And so if you watch Howard, he'd cast out and he'd do a reach either direct, and sometimes he'd want to go, knowing that you're in a boat, what we were doing, so you get the eternal drift. But he wouldn't want to be mending it up, trying to pull it away from where he wanted the sweet spot.
Right.
So he's running 6 inches off a bank. You don't want to throw it out and flick a mend into it and pull your fly out 8 inches if you're trying to run a parallel, bank. And he'd said, but it's second nature to people that just reach out. They just reach and just set their line, and all you're doing is setting it so you don't incur drag. But if you have to be watching, if you don't have any control of your leader, all of this is a moot point, really, because if you don't have control of your leader, if all you're doing is straight line, you're doing like this, and everything goes straight. I don't care if you're on foot or in a boat. If it just goes straight, you have drag in 1 second. No matter.
Maybe
then you,
less.
Huh? Maybe.
It might be immediate.
It usually is. Yeah. The current's going, whether you like it or not. So before you worry about mending, worry about reach casting. And get your line set. And if you're fishing straight upstream, it's even more critical, because if you're straight lining, there's nothing you can do if your line lays straight. There was Gary LaFontaine, we talked about this some time ago. I don't remember what we were talking about. But Gary LaFontaine in the 70s was bitching about graphite being so stiff that it made straight line anglers, and they could never control a fly because they could not put any wave in their leaders. So everything, and it's one of my bitches about distance casting, when I'm always bitching about casting. People say they cast 60 feet, and it's like, wow, that's some incredible eyes, and you can put a curve in your leader at 60 feet. That's some good shit, because it's hard to do at 30.
Hard to do at 20.
Yeah, and it's hard like,
to do it anywhere.
It's why when you
do in a parking lot with no wind.
Yeah, and so understanding why you mend it, and that the bug, what effect you're going to have on it, it's back to that same thing when I talk about fly tying and shit, practice. People we don't practice fishing ever. We go fishing and hope we'll think about it while we're doing it. But if you're in a dead zone, go out and just see if you can reach a cast up to get your fly below your line. Maybe you can kick your leader just a little to get a little wiggle in your leader before it hits the water, but practice it. You can't do it on a yard either. You cannot do it if you don't have moving water.
Yep. If
you don't practice in your environment, you're really, you're not going to master it. But there's a reason you do it, and the line controls first, because that's what sets your fly.
Yep.
And then mending should be. I don't think I saw Howard ever mend his line more than a foot.
I don't know if he ever even meant. I was gonna say I don't mend dry flies.
No.
As soon as they start to drag, pick it up and put it down again.
If you just hear it in people. Mend. It's already too late. As soon as you mend, you think about when you mend, unless you're freaking Houdini, you move your fly. You might be able to flick one into your line to maybe get it to jump a current seam. And if you're really good and you just do a micro flick with your wrist and you have control enough that know that you've picked your line up high enough to aerialize that little bit of your line to move over a current seam and not deflect your fly out while you're doing it, then you don't need to be listening to this anyway, right? But you get it. But it's virtually impossible to mend a fly and not give it a twitch and swing that ass around.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most of the time when you do that, you straighten whatever possible curve you had in your leader, and it's straight again, and it starts dragging.
Yeah.
It's not going as fast as the current. That's the problem. It can't. It's floating on top of it, and there's bigger line all the way back to you, and it's getting caught in things. So my 2 cents would make sure you've got that reach. It's the most critical cast in all of fishing, and including sometimes even including streamer fishing.
Totally.
Just to rearrange things. You'll see people. I do it a lot, and I'll throw down and I'll throw my line downstream so I can parallel a bank and keep my fly going across right beside when you're fishing contours and shelves that are parallel to the river flow. You don't have time to kit all of it, but you can throw out and mend it downstream and get it to go and just work the fly from there. It'll get a big belly in it, go straight down whatever you want, and you just tap that and it'll move the fly because you're still static to it. But
you can fish it
it's more, the mend thing I think is, for me, just listening on the river. When I used to walkway the upper a lot back in the old days, I would see these exasperated guides just going, mend. Well, how about you teach him a frickin' reach cast before we play this mend game, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd see him fishing, and it was like, oh, I got it. You just flick that thing, and up goes your line, and here go your flies, and it's all over, but you got an extra foot out of the strike zone.
Yep.
So I don't know what else.
I think with mending, I think mending is much more important when fishing nymphs under a bobber, right? Like, I don't mend dry flies, maybe a salmon fly if I feel like it's on a good line, but it's gonna drag and I see another good bucket coming, I might just throw one at it, but that like might be a 2 or 3 times a day thing.
I think when we miss up, maybe we did or didn't, or I didn't, but trying to fish too much water
Yes.
is just a really, in particular, this river, you're toast. This river, I don't care, we had that dipshit in that wanted us to throw 25-foot leaders. Your line is sucked. There's so many currents converging on your leader, going up and down and sucking your line down. And freestoners like this, you get a short-ass float. You're on the Bighorn, the Manis, or the Moe, or the Muskegon in Michigan, and you don't have that kind of crazy. But one of the ones that I see I think one of the most technical rivers in the world is the Henry's Fork. And I think what makes it technical is the fact that sucker looks flat, and that the way it goes, every time the water goes over anything, don't matter what it is, it can be a rock this big, or it can be a boulder, it can be a weed bed this far off the bottom with 6 feet of water above it. When the water goes over, it moves up. It doesn't just float through the stuff. So it moves the water up. By the time it gets up there on the Henry's Fork, you're seeing water doing this, and it's barely doing, it looks like it's flat. But every time one goes up and goes down, your leader gets straighter. And it gets that micro drag, and you've got this world Renee Harrop drag-free drift. And it ain't happening. And it's because it does that funky thing, straightening your leader out, even if you're fishing upstream.
Yeah.
It just starts doing it, and you're like, no. You're like that far from that
Please.
one fish that's actually putting its head up constantly, and your fly goes, and does that one little half-inch movement that is just not real.
Right.
And toast happens.
Yeah, it's, I think mending.
Fish small, fish short.
Fish short and
small.
I find myself, there's times where you get into one of these bigger holes on the Madison where you can fish further away. I don't think it does you any good. And there's times where you can get a drift long enough where you might need to throw a mend into it. At the end of the day, leader control is number one. One of the things I wanted to highlight that Howard was doing, which, he walked up on me casting in the parking lot, which you want to have somebody, I was pretty nervous.
Like doing a bench press and Arnold wants to spot you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I pretended I didn't see him for a while. He's on the phone, and I knew he was watching me, and man, I started sweating. But so I was asking him because I noticed in the boat, he does a lot of this kind of, it's not an overhand loop like normal. It's not an underhand loop. It's like he called it a slice cast. Mm-hmm. So instead of his loop unrolling over the top, it unrolls 90 degrees sideways of that if you rotate it, right? And I was asking him about why you do that. And he said, well, honestly, I couldn't really understand a lot of his accent. But what I gathered from it was, especially when it's windy, it gives you a lot more control over your leader, and it's all based on line speed. If you have fast water closer to you than where you want your fly to end up, and you're fishing to the left side out of a boat, you want that fly to come down well downstream of your leader, because that leader is going to be in the fast water, it's going to catch up to your fly, right? So he would underpower that cast and have that loop not fully unroll, so the fly ends up downstream. Mm-hmm. And then same thing, right? Or I guess the exact opposite. If you have slower water closer to you than where you're going to land your fly, he would overpower that cast and then hook his leader upstream. And it looks cool. There's 3.
Lefty Cray used to always say that if you wanted speed and distance, just go slice through.
Yeah.
He would never do this. He would sidearm that.
Yeah, I remember somebody I was down in Cuba with had a...
That was all for flats and not...
Yeah, it was a saltwater stuff. But
yeah.
he said Lefty was teaching him how to cast for salt, and that you got to pretend like your knuckles are on a table.
Yeah.
Your entire stroke is that sidearm stuff, and that is.
And if you looked at Howard, he was pretty.
Yeah, yeah, and there's all sorts of interesting. I mean, obviously he's world champ. He's pretty good at this stuff. But that guy who got the casting demo from Lefty, he's trying to throw an entire fly line in front of Lefty, and he kept throwing these huge, just whippy tailing loops and stuff. Lefty started calling him the lion tamer. So we're down there. This is 40 years after he got the nickname, and his buddies are still calling him the lion tamer.
Yeah, I don't think you lived that down.
No, I don't think you do. All right, let's do something behind the desk. What do you got back there,
New.
Kelly?
My buddy Chris Wade. Chris and Mel, his brother, stayed here forever, but he sent me two new. This is his SWAT thing. He just retired 25 or 8 years in Baltimore, I believe, but he's in Maryland. Tough place to be, right? 25 years of badassness, but he cut this off of his jacket.
That's cool.
Send it to me.
That is cool.
Pretty badass.
Yeah. Does he still come by?
Yeah, he shared about 3 weeks ago.
Cool.
Well, him and Mel used to come up a lot more, but I haven't seen Chris for a while. I think they've been up, but I just missed him because I think Mel moved down to Salt Lake or something. But yeah, pretty cool though. Just sent it to me. He says, "Don't worry about the phrase. I had to cut it off my vest." So saw a lot of action.
And then this is just a general PSA. Today I watched a guy on a motorcycle hit a deer doing about 80 up on Hebgen. I'd think twice if you're ever going to get on a motorcycle.
Stop that sissy
I
shit.
swear to God, I don't know. You know, I was talking.
You just saw it. Don't overreact to something.
I was talking to
you
Will
saw.
about it. And he said, you make one mistake. I said, he didn't. Deer jumped out in front of him. I think he's okay. He's down in Idaho
They jump out in front of cars too.
What's that?
They jump out in front of cars.
Yeah,
man.
but if they jump in front of cars, generally you're okay.
Number one killer of people in Michigan.
Deers?
Car deer.
Yeah, I wonder what the kill rate is in cars versus motorcycles and incidents.
He's the second one in 3 weeks I've seen walk.
Be
if
careful.
he walked. Yeah, be careful.
He did not walk away. Got to stretch it.
Well, I mean, lived.
He lived, yeah.
You know, it's like the guy who gets eaten by the bear. He never buys a beer again if he lives.
Right.
So he's going to live.
I knew Kelly was going to call me a pussy for this.
It's all right. You just saw a traumatic thing. Don't try
BSA.
to change the world.
Be safe. Especially on our roads. There's a lot of animals around. People from
The
out of
animals
state
don't scare me
necessarily
half
know
as
that.
bad as them dumbasses on their cell phones. I had a guy do that on the way. Did you remember that truck on the way back from the Bighorn? Jesus, he went 10 feet to the left. Thankfully, on a one-lane highway.
Yeah.
But he damn near ran that guy behind him off, too. And you know it's a cell phone. He's sitting there, like, playing with his porny thing. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, if you can't drive and everybody thinks they can. If you run over in the other lane once or twice, you can't.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah,
Stop
you got away with
pretending.
it once. Doesn't mean you're going to the next time.
Jerry and I were talking about it. He's got a full dresser sitting in his thing. He's rode it 3 times, not because he's afraid of it, but I was bitching about, that's what I'm pissed off right now about, not anymore that. The guys who would ride, they'll ride the center, which doesn't bother me riding the center really close. It's when they're coming at, they would do this at you, and the big, like 40, 50 of them. And one guy's job seems to be to every 10th one, he'll zoom out towards the middle. Yeah, that's really cool and that's really badass until that one guy on his cell phone happens to be floating over there in the other lane and takes you out. Because it's your action over there. You could be flashing headlights, every one of you on your mic, and some dumbass on his cell phone takes you out. The deer guy, though, he walked, the other guy did too. Well, then, what you said, Kevin hit one, he hit an antelope,
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
Hitting a rabbit's bad enough, scares the living shit out of
Hitting
you.
a squirrel.
I hit a rabbit on my, what was that Kawasaki 1000? What year was that, like a 72? Remember that one I had? I hit a rabbit coming.
76 or newer.
76? I don't know. Things had like 2 inches of travel on the suspension. It had drum brakes. You couldn't stop. But they're all souped up. And I hit a rabbit. That thing started shaking, took me, I shit my pants. I was doing 100, I think. It doesn't do much.
Yeah, I hit a family of squirrels on the way over to fish the big hole this spring.
On a motorcycle?
No.
So we're worrying about your truck? So you're comparing that to this guy and his motorcycle?
No, I'm not comparing at all. It's just, I hit the family of squirrels. I felt them. It was a dunk, and then I felt another dunk. Well, I pulled into the I always use that shitter at the
Hover
park
zone?
in Twin Bridges, and it's great shitter, by the way. I pulled in there and my boat was splattered with blood.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know that my buddy Billy Hudd, the guy
Yeah.
that did my decoy, total badass, right? One of the top ranked black belts in the country and great fighter. And I'd run over something dead on the road and make him puke in my car.
Really?
He couldn't take it. He's
What?
like, quit doing, shit. It's a freaking dead rabbit. It's hardly any of it. But
Gross.
be careful no matter what.
Be careful.
Especially right now, Sturgis must be,
Today's Thursday.
Sturgis today, isn't it? Yeah, Sturgis is today, I think, starting.
Yeah.
Not when you see this, but
Yeah, this will come out after that. But yeah, be careful. Band of the week, what you got?
Jeff Healy, is that his name? Jeff, just thought about
Sure.
guy in Roadhouse. Jeff, who's the guy in Roadhouse? The blind guy that does the
Roadhouse.
Jeff.
He just passed away too.
Wow, really big fan. I love his stuff, but I just can't remember his name.
This is
last
good
name.
podcasting. All right, the one I got.
Hey, we're on the spot, for Christ's sakes. His name's Jeff. He was in Roadhouse. If you haven't seen Roadhouse, everybody should see Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Yes. Patrick Swayze. That's what I said, Healy. That's what I said, Jeff Healy.
Yeah.
But everybody mandatory film watching, watch Roadhouse and watch Patrick Swayze. And he's not like the guy that we talked about earlier.
Dickhead. Steelhead.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Steelhead.
Follow the Hatch. Message me on Instagram.
What was your band?
Follow the Hatch. Message me on Instagram. I listened to a lot of this band, but he said it's Rattlesnake Milk. He said I like how he described it, a surfy psychedelic country band from the Texas Panhandle. I would say it's almost like modern old country. I don't know. It's cool music. I like it a lot. And every time I think of it, I think of the story my buddy Rylan told me where he's working on a ranch in Wyoming, and rancher came out.
You should have worked on more ranches in Wyoming.
Yeah, it probably would have done good for me.
Yes.
Rylan, great dude. I think he listens to the podcast. He told me he's out, his first day out there, he's digging holes. I think they just made him dig holes the first day for nothing. But he's out there digging holes, and that rancher comes up. He goes, "You look like a fucking snake milker to me, son." And ever since then, all I can think of when he was rattlesnake milk is that, snake milkers. So,
there's another meaning to it. Just so I'm sure you know this.
that's why I think
Yes,
it's
I'm
funny.
sure you're. Yes.
We're not going to explain that. If you don't get it, go read a book. All right, that was episode 37. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching. Hey, and by the way, thanks to everybody that stopped us on the Bighorn and said hi. I saw 100 people over there.
Yeah, it was Warrior.
I don't know what it was. They said it was a religious retreat, but a Christian retreat or something. I don't know. They didn't say
That was cool. Kelly has his mentor Doc in the boat, and we're floating down, and it was 10 boats that locked up for lunch, right?
There's 11 boats there, but
11 boats
one
that
of them
locked up for lunch.
might have been the junk boat carrying all lunches and shit. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But 10 for sure.
And that means there's 30 people on the bank over there.
Yeah.
And they were saying hi to us the whole way down. We stop, and they go, "Kelly, come over. We got extra brats and stuff." Kelly turned down. I wanted them, and then Doc turns around and goes, "You know all those people, Kelly?"
We saw 100 people, and everybody, "Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Hey, Braden, how you doing?" Doc goes, "You know all these guys?" I said, "Oh yeah, we're all very close."
Good friends.
But thank you. That was really
Yeah,
a
it was
blast.
cool.
Whoever, we would love to stop, but we had Doc in the boat, and
We're on a mission.
he just broke 2 ribs, and he wasn't real ambulatory. It was really tragic sometimes because he broke them 2 weeks before our trip. He's 89, and sometimes he'd cast and go, and I'm like, "Oh God, that's got." I'd see him flinch. If you never had broken ribs, get some.
yeah.
Everybody should experience it. But and then go try to lift your arm and cast and go.
I don't know if that Steelhead guy wants broken ribs, but if he shows up here, I think Kelly's going to give him some.
we'll see.
Thanks for listening.
He's a badass. You never know.